All right, welcome to another episode of the Stickmen pod. How's it going, Rene?
It's all right. It's all right. Almost finishing the week. That's always nice.
Yeah.
Got a lot of stuff done for a change because last few weeks, I've been working on one project. I was doing a lot of small things. Feels nice when you do a lot of small things. Feels like you did a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, before we jumped on, like, one of the things I don't like about just podcasting in general or the podcast is I prefer when I listen to a podcast when, like, the people on the podcast are just talking. There's no, like, I can't stand the podcast. So there's a few of them, especially American ones, where they're like, it's like a fucking 5-minute intro, and there's like, and here's another note from our sponsors. If you've not used Audible at Amazon, and they're just like, they just basically go on about, and you just like, get to the sort of point or whatever. But also, I just sort of hate the kind of, welcome to episode whatever. Welcome. It's just so we're just messing around with just trying to just sort of talk from the start. So yeah, really.
But to be fair, if someone pays us, we'll slap it here, and you can.
Yeah, I'm not sponsored by
become one of
Audible,
those.
but I should be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the week. So we're doing this a bit early. We'll probably keep it a short one. It's sort of a last minute. We just sort of thought we need to record one. I've got Liam coming out actually tomorrow for the weekend. Hence why we've kind of last minute decided to just record this one. So that should be fun. Like, I'm not sure if Liam's been to Budapest or not before, but yeah, he just randomly booked a flight and was like, oh man, I'll come out and crash at yours for like, I think he's here for like 4 or 5 days. So that's gonna be fun. Which, be nice for me to I've been working really hard with the poker and stuff recently as well. Like, and it's quite intensive with like the study and all that kind of stuff. So just be nice, honestly, to have just a few days. And also, it sounds really like depressing, which is not. But I'm alone out here, right? So it's like quite nice to actually see a friend. Like, I've met with random people and quote unquote made new friends, that sort of stuff. But it's actually quite nice to see people from your your life as well, right? So
Yeah.
so that'd be fun.
And it's also like, because I've noticed that, for example, in Tampere, it's a student city. So this happens here. And well, it happened to me when I was living, for example, in Berlin, in Germany, and in Hanover, for example. It's a student cities, people are coming and going. So it's very common that you meet someone, you're like, oh, these people are nice, or you have a group. And then couple weeks, couple months, and then everyone's like, oh, I'm going back home or whatever. It's always changing. Is you make these kind of like very short connections, meet people, and then move on to the next kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm quite used to it as well, right? Because I've lived in Australia, I lived in LA, I've lived in Finland, obviously, for quite a long time, and now living here. And I'm quite used to. Obviously, I've lived in England as well, but I'm quite used to. I'm quite content being alone as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've always sort of said, like, I'm a bit like my mum, where my mum's ideal day is a day where everyone leaves her the fuck alone, basically. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So I'm a little bit like that. But yeah, it's going to be nice to see him. Did I tell you about the bet we had, me and him, about the 5K?
Oh, yes, but go ahead,
Yeah.
because
So
it would be nice to get some input from people.
Yeah, for the listeners, like, so I've recently been on a fitness kick, and as you can tell by my absolutely sculpted physique right in front of your eyes, but no, so I've been like, swimming tons, hitting the gym a lot, like, and shockingly, I started running, right? And I fucking hate to run. I cannot explain like enough how much I hate to run. And to put it in perspective, the last time I ran was probably about 2 years ago. Say again.
From the police.
Sorry, one sec. It's probably about 2 years ago. I was living in my old apartment, so as in not the one I was living with, like, not the newer one in Finland, the one before that. And I remember, funnily enough, it was with Liam, and he was just going through a breakup, well, clearly a breakup with his ex, because we were going for these like runs. I say that in quotes because what I was doing can't really be classed as running, but we were spending these times. We went to a track in like just, I don't know, half a kilometer from where I lived, and we were sort of doing, jog 100 meters, then walk the bend, jog 100 meters, and that sort of thing, right?
To be fair, he runs Ironmans, right?
Yeah,
you cannot just tag along.
Oh yeah, true. I probably should have made that clear that, like, as a training partner, it probably wasn't optimal for me to be running with a guy who runs Ironman competitions. But either way, but he's really good, like, in terms of, he was really good in, like, like not being a dick, basically. Do you know what I mean? Like he could have just been like, "Oh, you fat fuck, come on, let's run." But he was just like really like, "Oh yeah, let's
More
walk
like
another 100."
coaching.
Sorry.
More like coaching.
Yeah, yeah. It was really like, okay, man, that's really good. Come on, one more round or whatever, and all this sort of stuff. And so it's really good. But basically, yeah, he was going through this breakup. So it was like sort of, I remember he was telling me it was quite good for him as well because he got to just like get out of the house. He was still living with the ex who was currently, still his girlfriend. But they were like, without, divulging his entire life story behind his back, bless him, like they were like, they were clearly on the rocks and they were like, sleeping in different bedrooms and stuff and basically just roommates, whatever. But it meant that he had this hour when we were out there, like to just sort of vent to me, right? Which was kind of good because when we were doing the training, like I was fucked, so I couldn't really speak. So he could just vent. It was like almost like a weird form of therapy where like I'm like just trying to survive and get as much oxygen as I can on the walks, and he's just telling me how his life's going. But yeah, anyway, the point is we did this this run-in or whatever, and after this one session, I got home, took a shower. I remember getting into bed that night and saying to like Melia and stuff like, "Oh, I feel really good. Like, really good to work out. My legs were tired, all this stuff." And then I shit you not, for like basically a month after that, I could barely fucking walk. Like my knees and ankles were just fucking ruined. And I remember just thinking, like, I remember we were walking to the store, like literally a week or so after this, maybe 2 weeks, and I'm like telling Melia to like slow down because I'm just like. I'm just walking like a fucking like cripple, and I'm just like, and I'm like, can you just slow down? My knees hurt, and I'm just thinking that should have been a sign that I things needed to change. But so yeah, basically that very long entertaining story was my last experience running. So I've been putting off the running because of just genuinely how much pain it caused me the last time. So I was doing like some swimming, things like that. Anyway, I lost a bit of weight and I've been swimming a lot and I've been doing the gym. So I just thought, fuck it, I'll give it another go. So one like tipsy evening, I basically kind of shoot my mouth off a little bit in one of the group chats and say that I reckon I can do a 5K. Like I can run 5K, sorry. And who wants to bet me that I can't run 5K this week, basically. And this was like 2 weeks ago or so. And two of the other guys are just sort of like more supportive and were like, "Oh no, we think you can." And Liam was like, "All right, I'll do it with you. I bet you basically, we bet dinner that I can't run 5K in under 40 minutes, right?"
It's a dinner in Budapest, right? It's nothing too crazy.
Yeah, like it just, yeah, exactly. So it's like betting like maybe 15 euros. Or, yeah, it's not, or it's just a friendly bet kind of thing. Anyway, so it comes to the Friday. And I go to the gym. It's like pissing it down, and I run the 5K, right? So I run it on a treadmill is the important part of the thing. And I run it in 35 minutes and change. Like I don't remember the exact time, 35:40 or something. And I was fucked, and it was, but I was really happy that I did it, right? And I posted to the guys, and then Liam said that he doesn't think it counts because it was on a treadmill, and this sparked like a huge debate between my friends within the running community because like my friend Gav, who's got a treadmill in his house, massive, like loves to run, like he does a lot of running it's his primary source of fitness and exercise, and he's actually pretty good at like running 5Ks and stuff, and he's a very firm believer in the treadmill, right? It's just more optimal, like when you've got a busy day job, it's just like more convenient to hop on the treadmill, right? But all of his friends are always like, "Oh, it doesn't count. It's not real running, this shit." And he gets very like defensive over it. I don't give a fuck, but I just wanted to win my bet, basically. But yeah, so Liam I just decided to say, I obviously think it counts because I ran 5,000 meters in the time like allowed. But Liam says he doesn't think it counts. I said, I'll stay out of this and I'll let the other three so there's three of them, Liam, Ash and Alex. I was like, I'll let them decide whether it counts. Like if there's a majority yes or no, that would be fine. But obviously if it's a no, it would be like a rematch sort of thing. And Ash voted definitely yes. Liam obviously voted no. And Alex left us in suspense for like a week or 2 weeks, like quite a while, just didn't respond. And now eventually said, I'm going to say no, it doesn't count because I know you can do it like in the street kind of thing. So basically now the bet is so tomorrow morning when Liam lands, I was pissed. I was like, fuck that. You get straight from the airport. We get the running shoes on and we run out in the street because, yeah. And so that's that. But it was funny because I then did, I've been swimming like tons. I think I mentioned maybe last week or so, that I had to play 10,000 hands for a bet, which again, I fucking failed miserably at that. And I did 4,000 hands. So I owed 6,000 meters in the pool, which is fucking horrendous. But I did that. I completed that like yesterday, I think. So I just did 6 days in a row, 1K, just because it was like, they said it was fine for me to just pay it like as I sort of wanted. But I felt like obliged to get it done early in the month. So I got it done the first week. But I did that. And my last 1K, so when I first got to Budapest, I was swimming it in like 30 minutes, and now I do it in like 25 and a bit sort of thing. So I've knocked 5 minutes off my time, which I was pretty happy with. And I put that in the group chat as well, and I loved it from Ash. Liam was like, good effort, man, well done, whatever. And then Ash just instantly responded, but it was in a pool, Liam, does that count? And it's just like, it's just... But yeah, so we're still just hammering the fitness, hammering the poker, and that's that.
It's just like, because I used to hate basically all sports unless it's, I love playing basketball.
Like a competitive
I
sport,
used to play rugby, or like I did ninjutsu and those kind of things, and I loved it. Wrestling was really fun, but I just hate the hitting the gym or running or stuff, right? I like it when it's like a game kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I started hitting the gym quite regularly. I think I did like, now I haven't because of the surgery, but
yeah,
I was maybe like a couple of years very constant, very like nonstop and taking it seriously. And you really get into this kind of like breaking your own PRs and stuff, right? But no matter how hard you try, I just don't get that with running.
Right.
Like with the gym, I really enjoy it, and you feel great after. But with running, even when you feel great after, it's just not something I enjoy.
I totally agree. I was hoping that would change, because basically I don't enjoy swimming. Like, I don't hate it, but the thing I just find it's so fucking boring, because like if you swim for like a decent amount of time, right? Because you can't listen to music, you can't listen to podcasts, like. And I looked into this. I was looking for like waterproof Bluetooth headphones, right? I thought if I get some waterproof Bluetooth headphones, I can listen to like a podcast or some music when I'm swimming, right? But basically, like Bluetooth and wireless doesn't work underwater through water, so you can't use that. So the only solution.
Don't they have some of those what's like the bone?
But yeah, like
because I guess that's the only thing that would.
But the issue is, right, is how do you get like the issue isn't the issue is like getting the music from the phone to the headset through water. Like as soon as water's in the way,
I see what you mean.
Like it blocks the signal. Yeah. So the only solution is basically they do these like swimming headphones that are like, they have like an MP3 player built in. So you just download the songs onto it, right? And they're on the goggles or whatever, and it's pretty cool. But they're like,
a lot of trouble.
They're like €200, and like they're admin, because you've got to like change the songs like sometimes you don't know what I'd have to download. This sounds very lazy, I'm aware, but you have to download the podcast to the device every time, right? So I'd have to prepare. I'd have to go, oh, okay, like I just want to turn up Spotify this today, bang, done, right? So so that's the only thing I find a bit boring. Like, for some weird reason, I just swim. I found it kind of therapeutic at times, because especially if I've got a lot on my mind, it's like I just think while I'm swimming, right? And to the point where it's quite good with poker, because there's like quite a few hands, and like I fuck up a hand massively, let's say, right? And I play it terribly, and I know I played it bad, but I can't. It's very difficult sometimes to like switch off about that. Like when you've really when you've been an absolute idiot, and you're like, oh, what have I done? Why did I fuck that? Why did I jam that river, or whatever sort of thing? And the pool is really therapeutic for that, because you just get in the pool and you swim, and you spend 20 minutes thinking about this fucking one hand. But by the time you get out, you feel good. You're like, yeah, it's like a good way of like cleansing the brain almost, right? Don't get me wrong. Like there are times when you've got like troubles in life or negative thoughts where you can't really escape. I find it difficult to escape them as well,
That's what I was gonna say. Like that's great if you're thinking about those things, right? But if you're, I know you're kind of obsessive sometimes, and if you start thinking about like, oh, my life is shit, that can snowball very quickly. If you're basically an hour with your thoughts, just like thinking
Yeah,
about
man.
the bad stuff. I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure. Like all it takes is like, especially with like a breakup, all it takes is like, oh, I wonder what she's doing this weekend. And then there's like 30 minutes of every single scenario of what, your ex is up to, or like, yeah, or heaven forbid, like they, I don't know, like one of your posts. You're like, oh, what did that mean? Like, so yeah, yeah. So, but it's the same, and the same in like I say with, for some reason I like it with poker because it's kind of, like the game that I'm playing currently is like really complicated and I fucking love it, honestly. Like it's so it's so good. It's really hard to explain why I love it so much, but like it's kind of I think because it's so fucking hard. Like it's just so everyone's so unsure about so many spots that it feels really. It's like new. It's like if I tried to get into chess now, for example, like chess is solved, right? So
yep.
if I start playing chess, like there is an optimal way to play every position, right? So it's just kind of like I just have to learn what somebody else has already figured out, kind of thing. And I kind of don't like that. Like, and poker, like No Limit Hold'em which is the game I play originally, which is the most popular form of poker. That's kind of got that way where it's like the absolute, like, best players in the world have relatively solved every position, every spot, right? So you're just trying to reenact what they do, and every time you like deviate from what they would do or what the solver would do, you're wrong, kind of thing. And it's very boring. It's very like formulaic, and it's very like it's like like playing chess against a computer. But this new form, it's like even the best players in the world are basically fucking idiots at the game because it's so difficult and it's so new. So it's really exciting because there's room at the top, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
like guys that were playing like low stakes 6 months ago are playing like the higher stakes games and making like 50k a week. Like it's just really cool. It's like it's really interesting. So like, but I sort of digress. But the point is, it's good for my brain as well because I just love to. There's so many problems to solve, if that makes sense. And I really enjoy I wonder if this combo does this on this turn, or if I should be doing this, and blah blah blah. I don't want to go into the details because I'll put the viewers to sleep. But it's kind of so that's cool. But it means I get in the pool and it does consume me in that sense. But for some stupid reason, like 2 days ago, I decided to just count the lengths. I thought I'm gonna try. I did it as almost like a form of meditation because I've been meditating as well, right? So I decided that rather than allow myself to think about anything, all I'm gonna do, this is so weird, like every length I swim, I'm gonna just in my head just say that if it's length 1, it's like 1, 1, 1, get to the end 2, and I did it. And I do 60 lengths, and I just like.
But that's basically like meditation, isn't it?
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
not thinking about. You're thinking about the numbers, but like you're
So
not
you
really
can't think
thinking
about anything else. Yeah, exactly. It was kind of cool. It was a really interesting like. But the weird thing was, I got to like 37, and I thought, oh, this is fucking not the most fun I've had in my life, but I couldn't stop. I just counted all the way to the end, and I felt this huge. So stupid. I felt this huge like sense of achievement by the end that I'd managed to count to 60 without an interruption, sort of thing, right? As in like, and then I did it again in yesterday's swim, I'm really torn between whether or not to keep up with that or to just actually let myself to think, or I don't know. But yeah. But my point was that I just find swimming kind of boring. And the good thing about counting the lengths is that I have this problem where you swim for a while and you don't know how far you've gone or whatever. And I'll just check my watch, like when I get to an end, and I'll check because it tells me how many lengths I've done or whatever. And it's quite depressing when you check and you're on like 23 and you're like, ugh, like I've still got, whatever and stuff. But yeah, on the note of like swimming being one of the most boring things in terms of exercise, actually, because that was a very big tangent that I wanted to get onto what you said about that you hate running. So the swimming, the only negative for me is that I find it boring, basically, a little bit. Mostly
for me, the negative is because I did it for a while. We were members of some club back in Mexico, and we'd go there. My mom would go to some kind of like, these group activities or whatever, like Pilates or whatever. And my brother went to play tennis. I went to swim. And I remember I just hated me. Like going there was like, I don't know, 50 minutes drive. And then get there, go to change, 15 minutes or I don't know. And then you go there, swim half an hour. I was like, I remember thinking, this takes so long, man. Like having to change, it's just, I don't know. I don't have patience for those kind of things. I was like, this is
Yeah.
not worth. Just not
I
worth.
think with people with like regular jobs, I can understand why it's so difficult to be motivated, because like I'm lucky where I'm in an apartment on my own in Budapest, right in the city center. Like the gym's like 1 kilometer walk. Like it's very easy for me to put some headphones on, pack my bag, head out the door, get to the gym, do a weight session, get to the change room, change into my swim stuff, do my swim, then take a sauna. Like it's like a quite nice like morning routine.
Yeah.
Um, and then
Well,
I
maybe
like,
now I wouldn't mind it because, for example, going to the gym is quite easy
yeah,
here. It's like across the street, so it's like then it's not a problem.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if I have to go and take a bus or something, it's like, mate, that's
Yeah,
not gonna happen.
definitely. Like it just wouldn't happen. And it's like, and like that routine in itself probably takes me about 2 hours, like sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or like, which if you think about it, for most people that are working an 8 hour day, commuting to work, it's not really that. It's quite a big amount of time to. And I'm lucky because my job's so inactive. Like I've just recently started working from like where you see me now. Like I used to work, there's like a desk over there and like a workstation and stuff, and I was working there, but I'm sitting in this chair and stuff, and I just kind of thought, I spend so long just sat down or whatever, that now I just work standing up at this desk and stuff, and I've got like a stool if I want, but it just means I can be a bit more active and kind of thing. And yeah, so it's kind of, but I guess my point is that this going to the gym 2 hour sort of turnaround thing with a daily, like sauna in every day is like, I just really enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's really good.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good. But to get onto like, the running, when I finished the run, I did feel like a sense of achievement. But yeah, I have to see how it goes because I want to run it under 35 minutes, and maybe eventually I'd like to get to the point where I'm under 30 is probably the goal. Like I think that's a respectable 5K time, like, run it under 30 minutes. But yeah, I think I'm probably not that. I'm getting more addicted to like weight. Like I really like the fact that the first few times I did weight sessions, like I wasn't enjoying it. And I think the thing is when you're so out of shape, right? You and you're weak, right? So you go to like the bench and you throw some weight on.
You need
And
a couple of weeks to get it where
yeah,
you see
yeah,
like, okay, because especially the first weeks the gains are massive, right?
yeah,
So the
massively,
first few
exactly.
weeks you are like, okay, now I lifted, I don't know, 10 kilos, and then in 2 weeks I'm lifting 20, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like, fuck yeah, man, like this is insane. And
definitely.
then you get to the point where like it doesn't increase at all. But I mean, the first few weeks there or months, they're pretty decent.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. Like I remember, like the first time I went back to bench, and like bench is probably like the benchmark, excuse the pun, if that makes sense, for like, at least for me, for where I'm at fitness wise. And I'm doing like 70 kg, and it's quite tough. And I'm just like, oh, I'm fucking weak because like, I'm over 100 kilograms. It's like, that shouldn't be that tough sort of thing. And then like when I was in relatively good shape, I could bench like, I think my best, like, was never huge. It was like 110 kilograms, but I was doing like 100 for sets of 5. And like now, like, yeah, it just feels good that the weight, 1 week, literally 1 week, 70 kilograms can feel like the world. And then the next week you're just like throwing it around, like it's kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's pretty cool. And I'm shocked to say this, but I always hated doing legs, and I'm loving doing legs in the gym now. Like, but the first time, it's like my legs were in a lot of pain, obviously for quite a few days. But I did legs on Sunday, and the whole week's been fine. Like, and to the point where like my leg, you touch your leg, it feels firm. Do you know what I mean? You kind of feel like, so it is quite addictive because you start thinking like, you're seeing the progress, right? You're
Yeah.
seeing the gains and stuff that you just kind of like enjoy getting in the gym. Did
But
back,
I think that's also why a lot of people quit quickly, because you start, and as you said, like first day, it's always awful, mate. Second day after, right? Like leg day,
oh,
you're destroyed. You can barely walk. You won't. Your legs shake and shit.
yep.
And of course, it's easy to be like, oh man, like this is
Can't
not
even
for
put your
me.
socks on. You're just like, ugh.
Yeah, but then a couple of weeks later, well, I don't know. For me, it was like quite many months of being sore all the time. But it becomes bearable. It becomes this kind of like, yeah, this is good. It's a good feeling kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
thing. But you have to go past those few weeks, those first few weeks,
yep.
few months. I don't know.
Yeah, like today, I did back yesterday, and like today, like my back feels like good, but like it feels sore, like, but like in a good way. Like it sounds stupid. You feel big. Do you know what I mean? You feel like
Yeah,
yeah, and
because you're swollen, and like the muscle is like all
yeah,
swollen up,
yeah.
right?
So it feels good. But like the first when I started working out when I first got back to England, and I remember I was in the garden with some weights and I was doing like some workouts, and that's like the most depressing feeling you can have is like in my this weight circuit. Part of my circuit is like push-ups, and it's like 10 push-ups, and I'm like it's hard, you know. And you're just like, and you just it's so depressing because you just think how the fuck did I get to this stage? Whereas a fully
Yeah.
grown fucking man, like I'm struggling to do 10 push-ups. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, but yeah. So, but and that's why it's
You also have to think about the weight, right? How much you weigh.
yeah, yeah,
And
like 125, whatever. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it's a bit of the a push-up is rough. If I was 70 kilos, maybe I can do many.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then when you bench press, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, for sure, for sure. But it's just one of those where like, you know, when it's like, I was saying this to my mindset coach like a few days back, where it was like, I said this to I said this to him. I said like the weird thing was right about my life, just like over the last year or so. It is like I remember just waking up one day, like about a year ago or so. I don't know exactly like time frame, and like looking in the mirror and just going like, "What the fuck? I'm fat." Do you know what I mean? Like I kind of out of nowhere, it's like it crept up on me. Like just one day, it was like, "You're fat today. You weren't fat yesterday," sort of thing. And like,
because I remember, for example, it was like I think it was during Corona that I wasn't going out
yeah,
almost
yeah,
for like 6 months that we probably didn't see for a very long time.
yeah,
And then next time I saw you, I was like, dude, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah.
Like we both have gained like crazy amount of weight. Because yeah,
Dude, I remember that like the worst thing, and I blame Melia, right? I'm obviously joking, but like one thing that's funny is she like I always like she claimed that she didn't notice a difference, and I kind of believe her because like when you see each other every day, you know, maybe not, but it was so funny. Like I always felt like when we flew back to England, we hadn't been home for 2 years because of COVID. And I remember saying to her, like the night before we flew back, I was like, "Oh, like my mum, my nan, and my brother, and everyone's gonna basically like basically be kind of mean to me for putting on. I'd put on weight, right?" She was like, "No, they won't. No, they won't. You look fine. You look fine. You look great. All this stuff." And we got home, and like instantly it was like, "What the fuck? You're basically what the fuck? You're fat." Obviously not. Actually, and I remember turning to her like angrily almost and going, "I told you," like as in like you know like almost blaming her, right? And
you
and
don't blame someone.
exactly, it's not my fault I'm fat. And but the thing and then I remember going to Cafe Pispola like after everything was closed, and then after lockdown or whatever, and you know when we went to like a brunch, and I sort of ping, who obviously works there, like for people that don't know, just a friend who works there. I haven't seen her in whatever.
I haven't seen her in ages, mate. Like now that you mentioned.
Yeah, and I remember I got there right. She comes, says hello and stuff, and she gives me a hug and you know whatever and stuff, and then she hasn't really got a filter. People that know Ping, like she's lovely, but she basically just turns to Melia like we're eating brunch, and goes like, "What are you feeding him?" Right, basically, right. And I'm just sat there like dying inside, like oh god, like yeah, sort of thing, and yeah, but the whole point is yeah, it's a weird.
But you don't. I mean, for me, because I've always struggled with being like up and down kind of thing,
Yeah,
and you don't feel it. You don't really feel you have been gaining that much weight
yeah,
until you're like, holy shit, mate! Like you go to a scale, it's like, oh damn. And then, because for me that's usually the case, and then, well, you might notice like I've been eating a bit like not so good, but I'm up and down weight very often. And it's for example, now since the beginning of the year, I'm probably 7 kilos down,
nice, yeah,
and but I talked to Petra and like it's like yeah, I didn't notice you gained those 7 kilos. I didn't notice you lost those 7 kilos. Like
yeah,
I think
yeah,
when you see someone every single day, it's like a bit hard to tell. If you,
definitely,
of course, if you see a picture of of like at the beginning of the year, or if you see a picture of like a couple years back, you're like, oh shit.
yeah, yeah.
But if you see it every day, it happens so slowly that you don't really.
I'm lucky because, like I say, like I took some pictures of myself like shirtless on that PC that you collected for me, like probably about a month before me and Amelia broke up, and because I took them as like my before pictures, if that makes sense. So like it'll be good for like, I don't know, another month or so. I don't know. At some point, I'll get you to send me those pictures, and I'll put my new pictures, because like it's gonna be a good. I think it's gonna be a good feeling for myself to just see, like, you know, that I have done some work. If that makes sense. And yeah, like I kind of. So what I was saying to my mindset coach was basically that it was because he asked me. He asked me. He's really good. I mentioned this last week, but like he's been really good for me. And he asks me, like, he said he was a bit concerned, like, why I'm on this, like, huge, like, fitness, like, kick or whatever, right? And he said to me, like, he follows me on Instagram or whatever, and, you know, and and we talk daily. Like, it's part of the program, if you will, or whatever, or the relationship. Like, he voice messages me every day. We talk every day. It's really good, right? So, and he sort of said to me, like, basically, why are you doing this kind of thing? And what he was getting at was clearly like, is it because of like bitterness towards the ex relationship, or is it, you know, is it kind of trying to be a fuck you to her sort of thing, or whatever, right? And I said to him, it's like, it's not
It's
that.
not only that.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of, if you think about it, like I said, I think it's normal, right? If you have a relationship that ends, and part of the reason it ends, right, even if it's not the reason, like, but part of the reason you think it ends is because you let yourself go, let's just say, or whatever, right? It's natural to feel that way, right? If someone like, pretty much every person who's been in a relationship where somebody's left for someone else, or cheated, or just ended it for whatever reason, right? And you're in the worst shape of your life, you're probably going to think, oh, I probably need to sort my life out, right? So
It's also like, I mean, quoting Tate, who I don't like, but like he has a point. It's like,
yeah.
it's a really good fuel in it, that you are like, oh fuck this, man, like I'll get like shredded.
He said,
Like when I broke up with my ex, I remember I was doing jujitsu, I don't know how many times a week, and running and shit, and lost like, I don't know, 14 kilos or something like that, and got ripped. And
yeah. There's an interview with Tate where, like, I don't want to digress too much, but where, yeah, he says, if you can offer me one feeling or one emotion to be like the most successful, or to, like, if I've got to put in work and got to grind sort of thing, he's like, I'll take heartbreak every day of the week. He says that there's no like motivator like heartbreak, as he says, right? But to go back to sort of what my mindset coach was saying, was he was concerned that what I was doing was trying to like get revenge, if that makes sense, of like, look at me now, bitch, kind of that kind of thing, right? Which obviously, right, you go through transitions in life, and you go through transitions in like you go through phases, right, of like sadness, hate, denial, betrayal, like whatever, all these sort of things in like, in just life generally, right, in situations and breakups. But so I said to him, I'd be lying to you if I said to you it had nothing to do with her, right? Obviously, right? But it's like, the reality is, I was in awful shape. Like I was living a very unhealthy lifestyle, and it was a wake up call just generally in life of, dude, you need to fucking get your shit together, because this isn't you, right? And it isn't, right? So it's like, it sounds really cringe, and I think I mentioned this before. It's like, I saw this reel that kind of summed it up perfectly, where it says, the comeback is personal because it's an apology to myself. And it's like, it's exactly that, right? The biggest motivator for me right now is going, all right, shit happens. Your life didn't go incredibly well in the last year. But that's that. It's done. So focus on what you can do now to fix the shit, right? And part of that thing that I need to do for myself has been, I need to get in really good shape. And he just says, because he was concerned, he was worried that I was going to turn into one of these like Instagram, like, needs to be like 10%.
100%. Now you have the before and after, mate. You can start selling shit.
Exactly. I'm an influencer. Yeah, exactly. It's like, get my Gymshark t-shirt and just start. No, but, and I said to him, I was like,
selling fake protein and shit.
Yeah, I said to him, I was like, no, dude, like, I don't stress over that. It's just, this is me doing what is best for me. Like, and I'm enjoying some time away on my own, get my head together, get my shit together. Work's going well, gym goes well. It's like, you know, it's just, I enjoy the gym now. It is what it is, right? So but it's to sort of go back to the kind of what I said to him as well, and to my mum, is like, it was this kind of realization of like, I got fat overnight in my head, right? As in you just randomly look in the mirror and I was like, fuck, what happened kind of thing. In the same way, right? The beauty of that is it does work both ways, because to go back to like the garden in England where I'm doing like the press ups and I'm just fucking shit at it, right? And I'm like weak and I'm still fat and I'm just like looking, you do a workout for 30 minutes and you're fucking dead and you look in the mirror and you're still fat and you're just like, oh, fucking dude, this is like, it's never going to get better. And it's like, you just keep training, you keep training, you keep training. And again, suddenly you look in the mirror. Like I looked in the mirror last week, took my shirt off, looked in the mirror. I was like, you look pretty good, dude. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, again, it just overnight, I went from being fat in my head to being in okay shape, So it's kind of like, it's a very weird, and it's, the whole like cliche is everyone says, you didn't get fat in a day, so you won't lose it in a day. Like, it's eating the fucking Burger King every single fucking day and not working out and drinking like infinitely at the weekends. Like that's how you got fat, right? But that wasn't, each Burger King you ate wasn't the reason you got fat. It's the compound, right? It's like we talked about last week about 1% better each day. If you're 1% worse each day, which is what I was doing, that's the result, right? So, and it's exactly this way. 1% better each day in terms of the workouts, suddenly, you start looking and feeling good. And it's, and it really does sort of translate or transfer into the other areas of life. Like your confidence grows, like.
But it's that's the whole point, right? Like if you feel good, then your whole, I think it also, even how you feel, it affects, just the fact that you feel good, it affects on how you see life.
Yeah.
So for example, if you play, when you're playing poker, it's like, oh, maybe I didn't do so bad. If you're in a bad mindset, you're feeling like shit. No matter what you do, you'll be like, oh, I'm shit, I'm not good enough, kind of thing. Like, of course, it translates into everything, right? Like, even into the smallest thing, you go and train. If you're in that bad mindset, you'll be like, oh, I'm shit. Like, I feel awful. What's the point? Kind of thing. Like,
yeah, it's huge. It's huge how much power it has over you, because like it's the same respect of, like I said, when I get in the gym and you start lifting and like you feel weak because you are weak, right? It feels horrible. You just feel like worthless and you're like, oh, this is like, you say you're going to do, let's say 4 sets of 8 on the bench at this weight, and you get to like set 3 and you're now doing 5 reps and you really probably should drop down your form. Like you just feel bad, right? Because you're like, but the same
especially
thing.
when you go to for example, I used to go to a gym. Now I go to a very commercial one, and it's like, it's quite mild and feel. But I used to go to the WFC.
Yeah.
And then you would see someone that's half your size lifting twice as you, and you're like, I'm trashed, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like you feel really worthless and weak, like in that regard. But in the same regard, like you say, when then you go a few weeks later, and suddenly like the weight you were normally doing feels too light, and you put some more on, and that still feels okay. And it's like this huge, like, maybe ego boost is the wrong word, but like confidence boost, where you're just like, oh, okay, you're getting clear evidence that you're trending the right way, right? And yeah, it's kind of that translates into everything. Suddenly, it's like a floodgate just like opens, right? Where suddenly like the girls you're talking to are more attractive, and your poker decisions seem sharper, because it's got nothing. Well, I don't want to say nothing, but it doesn't have. It's more to do with you've been studying as well, right? You've been getting coached, you've been practicing and stuff, and all these things all the pieces start falling into place. And suddenly you're in a spot where 2 weeks ago you had no clue what to do. You're like, oh, this is like in poker. You're like, fuck, what do I do here? Suddenly you're like, oh, I know this. This is bet 75% on turn. Like this is you feel good. Like
But I can relate quite much with that. And I just had this conversation with Petra today, where I do coding for a living, right? And I remember when I started in this company, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm good enough,
Yeah.
Like, and I've talked with a lot of programmers, because you don't really have a metric, because like programming is like half engineering, half creativity. So you can there's no metric of like how good you are, right?
Right.
It's like you either get shit done or not. Is the code clean or not? But there's not really a easy way. In poker, I guess you rank like how much money you made. That's already you can count it, but like
the main metric I would use is like win rate. So it's called like it's EV big blinds per 100. It sounds more complicated than it is, but basically there's a number you can look at that should be increasing over time.
I guess how many hands you play, how many you win, you
Yeah,
lose,
yeah,
kind of
yeah. So
thing.
rather than dollars one, you look at like it's like a better metric than money one because you can look at it's just called win rate. Is the simple way to put it is you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
look at your win rate and if your win rate increases. But I don't
yeah.
want to interrupt you because I want to hear the rest of that. But it was
No, but that's the thing. Like, and and I remember, man, like when I started, because I think one of my advantages on starting in Mexico and stuff compared to people here in Finland is people here specialize a lot, and Mexico is very general. So I have a really good overview of everything. I was doing networking, I was doing database, so I have a really good view of the overall all the development kind of phases and teams and like processes and shit and the code itself. But I'm not the best coder, and very often, especially coming from Mexico, you come here, you're like, I don't know if I'm enough, mate, because like I'm good enough because these guys are like very specialized, very good, very like hands-on. And then when I started working, especially in this company, the first maybe 6 months, 1 year, it felt like constantly kind of like trying to catch up. Everyone's going
yeah,
faster and you're trying to catch up.
yep,
And I was telling Petra today that the last I think 3 weeks, 1 month have been like I've been struggling with one project, and it's been a very rough project. And finally, it's getting done, and it's like going really good. And as I said at the beginning, I was doing a lot of these like small tasks. And today, for the first time in a very long time, I was like, mate, the I've learned a lot. Like as you said, you don't see
it's the
you're getting
best
fat.
feeling. Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't see you're getting better. Like I'm getting better every day, and you don't really see it. You are like, because every day coding is every day there's a new problem, right? So today you feel like, oh, I'm the best. Tomorrow there's a new problem. You get stuck,
and
and it's like,
you
oh,
feel
fuck my
shit.
life.
Yeah, you get humbled basically. Yeah,
Yeah, constantly, and it happens very often,
same in
right?
poker. Yeah,
And today it was the first time in very long time that I'm like, I wouldn't have been able to do this kind of shit I did, for example, today, a year ago. I wouldn't have even a clue where to start. And today it was just like so simple and like you're smashing tickets and like bam, bam, and get done, done, done. And it's as you said, it's sometimes it's easy to forget because I know this, but it's easy to forget that you don't always see the progress.
yeah, yeah,
But that doesn't mean there's no progress. Like you know
totally.
what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
easy to
Yeah.
forget and think like, oh, I'm not improving at all. But
Yeah, especially when times are hard. So like it's a yesterday I had like like a really rough poker session. Um like I just got destroyed basically, and I didn't care in the sense of like the money lost was like whatever basically. Um but I felt I got so here's the thing, right? Like in poker sometimes sometimes the best player will lose, right? So you can get it in way ahead of your opponent and lose. That's fine. And but
you're
so
stacking up, right? But at the end, it's still
yeah,
luck.
exactly. So let's just say when that happens, right? If I lose money where I know I'm playing against some idiot, get it in and they win, and I've played well, fine. But there are so many spots that are like marginal in poker where like the the decision that you make isn't clear. It's very difficult, and you've got 30 seconds to make it, which seems like a long time, but it's not. Like it's in when you've got to calculate so many things. You've got to work out your pot odds. You've got to work. There's so much you have to do, right? And you're playing 4 tables, and and you've been playing for an hour and a half, and it's just a difficult spot, right? So
Yeah, and if today you're feeling like shit, mate.
yeah,
That stacks on top, right?
yeah, and then there was a spot yesterday where like I got it in, and I really wasn't sure. It's one of these spots where like I won't bore the viewers with the details of poker, but like it's just like you have to make a decision, like a really important decision, where you're just not really sure what the answer is, right? So, and it feels bad because you don't know whether what you're doing is absolutely standard or it's fucking terrible. So, but when you get it in, when you see the result, you still don't know because. So to put it in perspective, I got it in yesterday. There was a couple of like you get it in, you got like 12 when the flop comes. Like you get it in, you got 12% equity, which for those who know this, it's terrible. Like you're fucked basically, right? Like the number you need in that scenario, let's say to get it in, is like 37%, 36%, and you've got 12%. You're like, oh, okay, I'm fucked. Like this is really bad, right? But that doesn't mean the weird thing about poker is that doesn't mean your decision was wrong because you have incomplete information, right? You don't know what they have.
And it could be the best decision at that point with that information in it.
Exactly. So
It
that's
doesn't mean you're
exactly
going to win.
So I had like 4 or 5 hands like in the space of about 10 minutes that were like that, where really, really difficult decision. I had to try and figure it out very quickly. Got to my decision, made my decision, was wrong, got fucked, right? And when that happens 4 or 5 times, you start to think, am I actually good at this game? Do you know what I mean? That's what you start to think, right? So luckily, I already
But it's very easy to go into that mindset. It doesn't take that long.
Yeah. Because
it's very hard to get into the positive, oh, I'm the best kind of thing.
Yeah,
but it's
massively.
very easy to go also the other way.
And the worst thing about it is, right, is you then have, this happened 4 times, right? But that 5th time, you're like, I'm always, your brain starts going, but you're always wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, like, you're trying to take emotion out of it, and you start to get a little bit like, for lack of a better phrase, like gun shy. Do you know what I mean? Let's say you've just bluffed off like 4 times and snapped off by someone, and you're like, oh God. And they were correct plays, but you were just, against their range, it was fine, but they had it, right? That 5th time, man, you just like, am I really just firing out off like another buy-in? Like, it's just kind of, but anyway, I finished the session not feeling particularly down in terms of, I was like, it was okay. And I spin a positive light on it where I say, worst case scenario, I've got 5 spots that I'm going to learn from. Best case scenario, I played correctly and it was a bit unsure. And I was lucky that I had a session with my one-on-one coach, like this morning, like booked. We have one or 2 a week, it depends. But basically it was like a perfect scenario where last night I got the end of the session, got wrecked. This morning at 10 a.m. I have a session, so it was perfect, right? I messaged him after the session like, I just got clapped. We're gonna have some fun looking at my punts tomorrow, basically. He was like, sounds good, man. We go through it, and we go through the hands, and by the end of the session, I've never been more confident in my life, because this guy's an absolute monster at the game, right? And all 5 spots, he was just like, oh, this is fucking disgusting, basically. Like, he's like, look, I don't know what to do, Luke. I don't know the answer, basically. This is really tough. It's really close. So already I'm happy, because I'm like, okay, good. This isn't a spot where he goes, you just get it in, like there's no doubt here, or you just easy fold, and because the worst case scenario is like he says easy fold and I get it in. I'm like, oh fuck. But
it makes you feel better when someone who's an expert or like better,
he is,
also struggles, right? Because you're like, okay, maybe it's not me. It's like it was genuinely.
Yeah, because first I feel like I'm just shit. Maybe I'm just shit still, but he's like, nah, man, this is really horrible. I don't know what I do here. And then we run it in the solver, which is like a kind of, you can give. I don't want to bore people, like I say, with too much poker stuff, but you can kind of like test your work almost, is the best way to put it. And we run it so our computer plays the hand with lots of parameters and stuff. And there's limitations to it, but it's generally relatively a good indicator of how you should play the hand. And the solver approved all of my plays, basically. So again, I felt, you just feel, it's so funny. You lose like 5 buy-ins, but you're so happy about it, because you're just like, I was in 5 very difficult scenarios. I played them all quote unquote perfectly. My expert coach wasn't sure of the answer and was like, this is really tough. And then the solver backed me up. So it's like, what more do you want? Do you know what I mean? You kind of, so it's, your confidence just like really does grow in that sense. And there was a few other spots like in that regard where, we had a group session after that. And there was a kind of cool one where I thought I was going to be an idiot again, where we were looking at a scenario. I've got to be very vague here, because I've realized if I get too much poker talk, it just becomes like foreign language to people. But we were looking at a situation, and the coach asked, basically, what percentage of the time do we do what's called a continuation bet on the flop? So how often should we bet in this position, right? And I said, I think it's like actually surprisingly low. Like that, I think it's like a 70% check, 30% bet, whatever. And the coach and 2 or 3 other players in the group said they think it's really high frequency bet. And I was the only one who said low, and I was like, oh fuck, maybe I'm the fucking I'm like an idiot here. And then Edo, the coach, to be fair, was like, oh, I'm prepared to be wrong. I definitely think we bet this a lot, but I'll be prepared to be wrong. Let's see what the solver does. Check the solver, and I was right. And he instantly calls, like, he's a great guy. Like, he instantly calls out and goes, yep, guys, Luke was right. Yeah, this is Luke, well done. You're correct here. This is way better. This is surprising to me. And there was one other spot I went bought, like same thing. It happened twice, and it's just really reassuring when, like I say, this guy's an absolute monster at the game, crushes, like wins like tons, and he's just like, yeah, Luke, you've been playing 2 months and you already know spots that I don't. So it's kind of
I have to ask you this because I know our brains work in a very similar manner. And for example, a lot of the I was really good in my last job. It was like basically finding issues, right? I was solving issues at the factory. You know all these kind of things, right? You've been studying poker and you've been playing poker like for quite many years.
yeah,
Do you make these decisions like consciously nowadays?
how do you
What I
mean?
mean is like, for example, very often in the factory they were like, there's a big issue, right? Factory like production stopped, everyone's going there. Is it the network? Is it the like PLCs? Is it the computer, the server, whatever?
Yep.
And very often I would come up with the solution. It's like, I think it's here. And when they ask me why, like I have no clue. Like
Yeah. It's like
I
it's like
could try to
intuition, or not
explain
quite
it, but I'm
instinct.
not 100% sure. I just kind of feel like it's just like because of all the things I've learned,
Yep,
it
definitely.
became kind of intuitive. So do you do those decisions intuitively,
Yeah,
or like is it?
definitely. Like, so in game, I'd say 90% of my decisions are like instinct or intuition. So like it sounds horrible because there's a real like what's the word? There's a real negative connotation behind the term feel
Yeah,
player in poker. Like, so that's somebody who's
yeah, but
like,
I get it because when people ask me, for example, I've been in situations when they ask me, and it's like
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I just felt like
I would say though, I like I say, if you've got like 20 seconds to act, whatever, you make your decision. You have to rely on like instinct and like just what feels correct based on your 12 years experience in playing like poker for a living, right? There are obviously certain spots where you can like problem solving game and go, oh, okay, I think X, Y, you can, but like there are a lot of spots where you're just like making a very educated guess about spots. Um, but I would say like one of the things that is the most fun to me in poker and recently in the sessions with the guys is we're like breaking down that I'm very good at like probably my best strength in poker is my ability to like work things out like afterwards. So like we go through a hand like so somebody posts a hand and we're seeing what to do and we spend 20 minutes talking about this hand and I almost always sounds too much, but like quite often I get to the right conclusion. But like the amount of times even today in the sessions where people wanted to do a certain thing and I said I'm not sure about this because I think they just after lots of analysis I think they have this basically this combo so often and blah 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 blah. We get to the showdown and they have exactly what I said and I'm like, yeah, this is the issue of what, like I say, when we do this we end up with this scenario and Edo again will be like, yeah, you're right, Luke, like spot on kind of thing. And so I'm very good at that. That sounds great. The problem with that is I'm not as good at implementing it in game because when I've got 20 minutes to look at a scenario and solve it, I can do it. But when you got 4 tables, you've been playing an hour and a half, and you've got 20 seconds, sometimes you
yeah,
just troll, right? You just like you can figure it out later, and you're like, oh, that was stupid. So
100%.
so yeah, but definitely like the hands that I played were more like intuition. Where you're like, there was one where I had like it's too foreign to like explain the hand, but I got it in a spot where I was really going off of like just experience and judgment, and it turned out to be the right decision. But it could have easily been like torching money, basically. But luckily it wasn't. But yeah, it's like it's a gift and a curse. I think you'll understand the same. Like I'm a massive overthinker, like in all areas of life, right? Which is really good for poker because like you get to the right conclusion quite often. But it's really bad for like your personal life, I think. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? You can just like waste
I
energy.
I feel you in the sense of the for me making decisions is very easy in general. Like I'm very quick. I'm very like I don't. I try to understand, but I don't understand people who take ages. Like oh, I have to think about this, and it's like because for me it's like instant, it comes right away,
Yeah.
and it's not. I'm not just guessing. It's just like I make very quick decisions, and I think that's partially because I'm the kind of person that pays attention to everything. I think you have that same issue
Yeah, it
where
is a problem.
it's a problem. Like sometimes it's good because I think I have a very good overview of things. As I told you, like in my work, I have a very good overview of everything. But then when it's something very specific, then you struggle a bit more.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's like and it's like ignorance is bliss in some ways, right? Like, um, I think I learned this a bit with the breakup, where like my ex, she kind of we had to communicate over some things, right? Some admin, like selling couches and whatever and stuff, right? And every now and then, like,
that's why I have a 20 kilos computer right here.
true that, yeah, exactly. Like, basically, I think she just doesn't think as much as me, which is probably her life is probably way more simple and happy, right? In that regard, because there'd be little things like she'd send me a picture of some things, and like probably without realizing that she's got some other dude's pair of shoes in the picture. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like things like that where you just be like, it'd be like I'd call her out for it, and she'd be like, oh, she didn't really, that kind of stuff, and it would just kind of be like, that's the problem with having attention to detail, or you just kind of you can't unsee things basically. You just see everything in all the scenarios, but it's good for work. So it's like yeah the I think that's one of the things that I bang on about my mindset coach. Apologies, but he's having a good impact on me. And like, it's so good to work with someone who like he's definitely very similar to me in the way he thinks, but he's very good at like kind of calling me out for my shit in terms of like in a more logical way than your friends might because your friends are always gonna be there for you, and like me and you, Rene, we've had lots of really good talks and things like that and stuff. But like this guy doesn't know me, right? So he can kind of
To
be.
be fair, you started listening to him about things I was telling you, so I was very happy you were talking to
Yeah,
this
yeah.
motherfucker.
Don't get me wrong. Your advice on all the situations have been absolutely spot on, for sure. It's just one of these ones where like hard to
An
explain.
outside perspective is always good.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like what I mean is it's hard to explain. It's like he's very good at kind of like critiquing my behavior in a way that doesn't come through as like an attack, but more of like this is illogical what you're doing because XYZ. And then it's almost like once he's explained that to me, I'm like, I find it very difficult to continue behaving that way because I'm just like,
yeah, you get called out, so you're like,
it's like, I'm being an idiot. Like this is just like not good. Like, and
but
like,
sometimes you need that, mate. Like I think nowadays that's a big issue in general. I think nowadays it's kind of, I don't know about you, but I feel like a lot of these kind of interactions you have with people, they're very fake in the sense of everything's fine, everything's good, the world is happy. Because also a lot of people don't say what they think, right?
yeah,
There's a lot of people who they might think a bit like something that goes a bit outside of the norm. So they're like, "Ugh, maybe I'm not gonna say that because I know that's gonna cause some issues, right? Are gonna
yeah.
make people upset." And I think, for example, that's what I find quite nice about talking with you. Of the You can be quite open, quite frank,
Yep.
like quite direct, and it's like, mate,
It's
I
never
think you fucked up
personal.
because of this,
Yeah,
and and oh, okay, and you accept it. Because I
absolutely.
feel like sometimes it's hard to do that with people, which fair enough, I don't do it, but then I really like when people talk to you like that. When you fuck up, and then they're like, "Mate, you fucked up here, mate. You're like you're being a dick, or
Yeah.
you're being stupid. You're like." Because for me, that direct is it's a very easy way to learn. Like, oh man, I didn't realize why am I being a dick?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
because you don't do this. Oh, okay, cool. Now I know.
That's one thing
But
I'm mega grateful for is like my close friends and family, which obviously you're included in that, is like are incredibly like loyal but incredibly honest in the sense of
a bit too
like
honest, maybe Gaff. So
but
there's
like
in times where like, holy shit, dude.
but you know what I mean, like I would hate to be surrounded by like what people call like yes men, right, where it's just like and like I love the fact that whenever I've made mistakes, and I make many of them, right, in all areas of life, and in particular like this last 6 months, I've not made optimal decisions in areas, without getting into details where I could have, right, but
So in Budapest.
yeah, exactly. Like that, you, my mum, Gav, the boys, everyone, like, it's like, my dad, bless him, they're all like, they all deal with me in a way that I respect, in the sense of like, the worst thing that when it's like, you're just going down the wrong path and people just tell you, oh, do what makes you happy, and it's just such fucking stupid like advice, right? Because the advice, do what makes you happy, is probably the most stupid advice I think anyone can give someone. Because it's like, if I do what makes me happy, I'll eat cheeseburgers and play video games all day, right? It's like, it's not that's not good advice. Like, it's just kind of so it's just kind of so I'm very grateful in that regard.
Yeah.
Probably should wrap up soon, as we've just hit the hour. And but I think it's one thing I would say to any viewers, if that we even have any at this point, is basically get in the gym, get in the gym, do some exercise, make yourself feel good, and probably stay away from 5-card PLO, because it's quite complicated. But
I think the most important thing, like from all these things we talked, because people don't mention it a lot, is that to when you're feeling like, oh, maybe I'm not doing shit, or I'm not improving and stuff, look back at I think a lot of people want immediate results, but look back at the yesterday. Did I learn anything from yesterday? Like, because I think very often you miss this, like, your progress.
Definitely.
It's hard to see your progress when it's a slow progress.
Definitely, yeah. Like, it's a, like, without going off again, that's actually a perfect point. Like, my poker session yesterday, results wise, was terrible, and it's hard to see the progress because I'm getting clapped, right? But when you go through the evidence, when you check, I actually played one of the best poker sessions of my life, because that's one of the most difficult poker sessions I could have come across, and I nailed all the spots. So it's like, a worse player, I lost 5 binds. A worse player would have lost 15 binds, right? It's that kind of thing. And it's like, that is, that's huge. And the problem is, it's hard to see progression when you're not winning, right? In life, all areas. Like, so you're absolutely spot on. It's like the 1% better every day. It's like a mantra to live by, right? It's like, we just kind of, in all areas of life, like the gym, everything, like the results. It's like looking in the mirror and being fat overnight. That's the kind of feeling. It's like, but in a positive regard, right? You just kind of, like you said, the results don't come overnight, but they do come, right? So it's just, awesome. I think that's a good spot to leave. I really enjoyed this podcast. Like, I enjoy talking about these kind of things. Hopefully the listeners enjoy them, and we can continue with this kind of stuff in the future, because I think it's good.
All 3 of them.
All 3 of them.
Be thrilled.
Shout out to mum. Love you. Right. Anyway, guys, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, Rene.
Yeah.